As you're able, no pressure. Would love to see some of your friendly faces at some point throughout the call if you feel so moved to come on video as someone who is sitting in Zoom meetings all day. I totally respect if that's not your jam tonight.
Hi, this is Bob, and I don't know why you guys can't see me. Can you hear me?
We can hear you and we can see your cool bikes.
Oh God, thank you so much.
Hi,
Uh,
Bob.
is this the Bigfoot meeting, right?
And those of you who aren't on camera but want to emote in some way, Zoom's emoji game is pretty stellar. So at any point, if you want a dancing man or a snowman or whatever, we invite you to participate however you feel you are able tonight. All right, it looks like we have a pretty full house. Team, are we good to get started? Cool.
Yeah.
Well, welcome again. Happy New Year. Welcome to the first, we see you now, Bob. Good to see you. Welcome to the first one meeting of 2024. Our New Year's resolution is to keep these meetings to an hour. So we're going to do our best. My opening remarks when I was practicing them were a little bit longer than allotted on the agenda, so forgive me. As we're getting started, we want to hear about your New Year's resolutions or intentions or goals or whatever for yourself, your community, your family, this organization. Don't come off of mute, but pop them into the chat. Would love to see, yeah, how 2024 is feeling for you guys. While you're doing that, I'll share a quick note that if you've been to meetings before, you know that we use Robert's Rules of Order here. This is, it may feel formal at times, and sometimes that's necessary, but our real goal is to make these meetings collegial, neighborly, personal where we can. The point of Robert's Rules is to make sure that the community's voices, the members' voices, the participants' voices are centered. That's really why we use it. When I stop talking after my opening remarks, I'll pop in a little cheat sheet for reference. I will say I'm a brand new president. We've got brand new board members. We're attending trainings, we're learning, we're pretty new to this stuff. So for those of you who may be Robert's Rules pros, we just ask for a little bit of grace these next couple of months and appreciate you for that. First item on the agenda is to approve the minutes from November. Lily, would you mind popping that link in the chat?
Yes, and sorry about the typo. I think it says November, December, but it is November.
It's our last official meeting was in November. Our December meeting was a holiday cookie party. Thank you so much to everyone who came out, and congratulations again to our winners. My body was a little angry for how long I had to eat cookies following that meeting, which was probably like 2 weeks, lots of leftovers. Okay, notes are in the chat. Do we have a motion to approve the last meeting's minutes? Anyone can do that.
So moved.
Do we have a second? Great, minutes are approved. Thank you. Guys, you just helped me do my first Robert's Rules of Order thing. Love the teamwork. Okay, next thing is would love to welcome new neighbors. So folks who are new to these calls or new to the neighborhood, invite you to raise your hand or come off mute and introduce yourself. Would love to learn about you. All right, Bob, I see you. Go ahead.
All right, let me see. I'm unmuted. Yeah, my name is Bob Bateman. I live on Battlefield Avenue. I'm kind of a property manager. We have a house here. We have a house at 100. We're about to expand that house. And once that project's done, we're going to expand this house. Let's see. I've been here about 3.5 years. I already say that. I have electric bicycles. I do solar panels. I like to encourage people to garden because I'm a big gardener. I have
Love
a
it.
compost pile in my backyard, so don't hate me.
Cool. Appreciate you. We're going to talk about the Wesley Avenue green space later in the call. So hopefully your ears are perked, and now that we know your name and where you live, may sucker you into supporting a little bit. Bob, go ahead and pop your email address in the chat. We'd love to send you an El Tesoro gift card as a welcome gift. Any other new neighbors on the call now that you know what you get for introducing yourself?
Hi, I'm Jordan. I live on Mortimer Street with Justin. And we've been here for, oh gosh, since 2019. And I didn't know all of this existed. So this is great. And I'm glad to be a part of it. This is my first meeting. So hello, everyone.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. Is Justin on the call too?
He's not. He's cooking dinner.
Well, other important duties. That's great. Well, welcome. Glad you're here. And go ahead and pop your email address in the chat. Anyone else?
I'll go next. This is John Whipple. We live at Arkwright in Vanoy. I'm here with my buddy Russell. And we moved here like spring of 2021. So yeah, similarly excited to hear these meetings and participate.
Welcome. Thanks for joining. All right, if we have any other new neighbors, introduce yourself via chat. We're going to move on. Again, New Year's resolution. Also, I don't see anyone else's New Year's resolutions or intentions, which, I mean, setting yourselves up for success, I guess. I respect that. Okay, we have a new board this year. It's a new year, new board. I'm Erin Bernstein. I'm the new president. We have an amazing new vice president, Steph Salyer, an awesome returning secretary, Lily Lancaster, who is responsible for, among many things, the incredible Give a Hoot newsletters that we've initiated, that she initiated in the past year. So if you're not already on that list, we'll make sure that you get added. And then our new treasurer, Chris Knudsen, who you'll hear from in a moment. We have spent a lot of time with each other as a board over the last month and a half. And I think if they hear me say strategic planning session or retreat one more time, they might kill me. And unfortunately, they know where I live. So, you know, there we are. But we have spent a lot of time together reflecting and planning and prioritizing. And just, you know, peeling back the curtain for a second, I want to share how incredible this group is, this new board is. We have such motivation and enthusiasm. In this new group, they're some of the smartest people I've worked with. So I'm excited to partner with them in this and learn from them and grow with them in serving the community. I will note that we are volunteers. We do this because we really care about our neighbors and our community. Everyone who chairs a committee from one is also a volunteer. I will speak for myself, but I think I speak for the board that our perspective is, you know, our role as a board is to facilitate us coming together as a community. But that's our role. And the best way we do that is by participation from our neighbors. So invite you in whatever way you're able over the course of the year to raise your hand and support where you can. We'll share at the end of the call some immediate opportunities to plug in and get to spend time with all of us who are really great. It's a really great group. Very quickly, I'll share a high level, some immediate priorities, and then broadly kind of long-term priority for the year. This is kind of a little state of one that we're going to try to do at the top of these meetings. Pop in the chat whether you like it or if there are other things for these opening remarks that you think you might want to hear. Immediate priorities. We'd like to update the website. There's some big kind of contacts that need to be updated. Also want to add some community assets and resources to decentralize the ways that neighbors can kind of solve their own needs where the city has tools to be able to do that. So if there's a street light out, for example, instead of emailing the board, there are links that you can go to report that. So that's one of the immediate goals. Another immediate goal is fundraising. Chris will share a little bit more about that in a moment and then later on. And then coming back to being in person where we can. Some of you filled out a poll in recent weeks, and we know that that's a big priority. So I'll say invite you if you are someone who likes to identify venues or is really tech savvy and wants to help with some hybrid options. Really invite you to help support us in that and getting back to being in person faster. Long-term priorities we'll be talking about over the course of the next few months. At a very high level, they're really focused on community building, whether that's through marketing, outreach and engagement, history, developing community positions around things. We have a few new ways that we've already started to do that. Steph set up a new Instagram account. So Steph, if you can add that to the chat. Anyway, more to come, but that's kind of a brief snapshot. Chris, I'll turn it to you for a high-level financial snapshot, and then we can move to the rest of the agenda.
All right, can you hear me? Yay.
You can.
Yeah, so hi everyone, I'm Chris Knudsen. I'm the new treasurer, getting a great handover from Jeannie. So my big goal this year is, for one, is to actually get funding, and this is probably the most important thing for the state of the money of one, is to get money for the green space, which we'll talk about a little bit. But right now, and the other priority I have is actually, I'd like to, on the website, have a financial section so you guys can see at any time, what are we doing with our money? How much money do we have? Things like that, so you can kind of get a sense for where things are going. Quite honestly, our funding isn't, we really don't have that much disposable money at this point. We have about $20,000 in the account, and that is all money that was given by the Toll Brothers for specific beautification progress. So we're trying to figure out exactly what we need, what we can do with that, but I think it might be limited. So I'm presuming, I'm not going to presume that we can use that. So a big important thing that we need to do that we'll probably soon put in the newsletter and then send out to you guys in all ways possible, Instagram, whatever, is a GoFundMe to try to get some money for our liability insurance for the green space. We have to pay about $4,000 every year for that. And right now we don't have much at all, maybe about $500. So that's going to be one big goal. And if anyone has any creative ways to do that, I would love to hear it. But I think we're going to start a GoFundMe and then figure out other ways. And we'll talk more about funding later. But I'll keep it short. That's it. Sorry. Nice to meet you all.
Thanks, Chris. And we'll have time later on to talk more about the green space that Chris mentioned. Okay, my last thing, and then I'm going to shut up for a while. I want to create some space for some neighbor kudos. So if a neighbor helped you with some pet sitting or some stuff around the house or grocery shopping, we want to hear about it. So I might invite two people to raise their hands and share if there's anything that you want to share, and anyone else to add it to the chat. I'll kick it off and just give a shout out to our outgoing board members, Jeannie and Chris, for the ways that they have kept this organization afloat for many years. And then shout outs to our current and our outgoing committee chairs and committee members for all the ways that they volunteer to serve our community. Does anyone else have a shout out for a neighbor?
I do.
Go ahead.
Bob here repaired my wood chipper and is currently repairing my pressure washer. So Bob is great. And if people want to borrow tools and things like that, I have them.
Amazing. Kudos, Bob. Anyone else? Go ahead, Carly.
Erin made me some delicious Christmas cookies.
Yay, Karen. Karen is a pro baker in another life, but she's very talented. Awesome. We appreciate you, Karen. Okay. we will move on to our local government updates, and I will invite Sergeant Barry, if you're on the line, to share an update.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. And also, congratulations to the new board members. I can only imagine how exciting that is for you all. Honestly, I'm new back here in Zone 6. I was a patrol officer here about 5 years ago, patrolling in the Virginia Highlands area as well as Grant Park. But now I'm back as a sergeant. I'm really happy to be back here. And I just want to keep it brief. I have the stats for the Edgewood community for in the past 30 days, all of the crimes that's been in your neighborhood has gone down 6% in the past month. For the past week, it has gone down 18%. And year to date is 21%, which is a great number. It's something that our Major Webster, Andrea Webster, is keen in to look at these particular numbers to give you more specifics of the calls, the 911 calls that has come in. And this is for the past month, for the past 30 days. The number one call that we have is just people in the residents just want to give information to officers. That's the number one 911 call. It's no crime has been found, but there's just good information that's coming in from the community. And then second is actual fight in progress. And honestly, that tis the season. Honestly, this is the time of year where for some reason, a lot of families get into little disputes, and that's kind of higher than normal. And then third are criminal trespass or panhandlers. Fourth are auto accidents. And then last are audible alarms, including in commercial buildings. So those have been the hot calls that we have for the past 30 days. And those are our stats for the past 30 days, week, and year to date. And I'm here to answer any questions or any incidents that anyone is familiar about. If I don't have an answer, of course, I would email or put any information tonight in the chat.
Oops, thank you. If folks have any questions, go ahead and raise your hand and happy to call on you. There's a question in the chat from Alan. Is there a way to contact Zone 6 via email for non-911 requests or reporting?
So there's two ways that you can contact us to do a non-emergency. You can actually call the precinct, and I'll be happy to put the phone number in the chat. But there's also a website where we have something called teleserve. And of course, I'll put this in the chat too, where you can actually input all information that's non-emergency. If there's any attachments that you need us to see, you can upload it immediately. And an investigator will just be the one to call you back, and we could start on it that way, or you can always call the precinct for non-emergency information as well, as whichever is best for you, that suits you all perfectly. That's a great question. Thank you for asking.
There's another question about what's located in the Zone 6 station on Mason. Our understanding is that it's storage right now.
I'm sorry, and it's so funny. I just passed it yesterday, and I didn't know we still had it like how it does. But no, we don't operate out of that. Yeah, at this time, it's still just storage.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay. I'm not seeing any other hands or any other questions in the chat.
Okay, well, I'll stay on. I'm going to get that information and put it in the chat, and I'll check one time before I get back out on the streets. But thank you all for your time. Happy New Year's again.
Thank you. Happy New Year. Appreciate you joining us. Okay, next up is Liliana's office. Patrick, are you on the line? There you are.
I am. Good evening, everyone. First of all, congratulations to the new board. We're excited for your first meeting. We wanted to also congratulate y'all on getting the permitting through for the new Edgewood sign. This one's going to be on Hosea, coming from Kirkwood. And so we're excited to see your work on that. Stay tuned. We're going to be rolling out some coffee with the council member events. Those got interrupted by the holidays, but we'll be back around with them. So we'll be announcing those in the upcoming week. And finally, every year the council rearranges the committees. However, the council member did not have any changes. She's still going to be the chair of committee on council. as well as serve on community development and human services, finance, and zoning. So yeah, with that, I'm going to leave our information, and I'm happy to take anybody's questions if you got them.
Felix had a question in the chat. Didn't we already get that sign? Looks like Topher responded.
Already. Okay. I knew
Yeah.
the permitting had to be done by the end of the year, and something about losing funding. So yeah, excited that that's up.
Awesome. Go ahead, Mac.
Patrick, I'm just curious if you know what's going on Memorial and when it's going to be done. In front of my house, where they're digging the whole thing up and blocking the whole westbound lane has been blocked for like 2 weeks of Memorial, which is crazy.
There was a leak we reported over there. I don't know if it was related to that, but I don't know. Does it look like GDOT work, or does it look more like a utility?
I wouldn't know the difference. There's giant steel plates, there's trucks. The whole westbound lane has been blocked between Whiteford and Benoit, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Okay, there was work on Whiteford right in front of Vaughn. So that was cleared up on, I want to say Saturday. So it was some emergency repair work. Folks were kind of trapped in their driveways, and it was horrible, and it was kind of sprung upon us, but they had to fix it before all the freezing temperatures came and all that. So
it's done. They're just going to replace the steel plates with asphalt after it's not freezing. Great, thank you.
yeah, well, they were supposed to, they put some temporary sealant stuff on there, and my understanding is it didn't hold very well because it rained heavily that day too. So yeah, they'll keep revisiting it as necessary.
Great. If anyone else has questions for Patrick, add them in the chat. We're going to keep moving if that's okay. You good, Patrick?
I'm good.
Cool. Thanks for being here. Florence from Larry Johnson's office. Are you on the line? No? Okay, we'll come back to her. Syra from the Georgia House of Representatives.
Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Syra Draper. I'm the state representative for District 90, where Edgewood is located, which is why I'm here. So I just wanted to let everybody know that the legislative session for 2024 has begun. We are not a full year-round legislature. We do all of our business in 40 legislative days. So this year, the legislative session is between January 8th and March 28th. And so in that period, we are going to pass or not pass many statewide laws that have a direct impact on you and the community, anything from healthcare to civil liberties to public safety. We touch on all of it. I wanted to just let you all know that the priorities that the governor has set, well, let me actually just say it like this. We have a Republican-dominated House, Senate, and the governor's office. So the priorities and the agenda is really set by the Republican Party for statewide policy in Georgia. Some of the things that they have mentioned they wanted to see this year are changes in healthcare. We do have a $11 billion surplus this year, so there is a lot of argument about how and whether that money should be spent and how it should be reinvested in the people, or whether it should just sit and collect. And then there is also a lot of talk about a school voucher bill. Some of you may be familiar with that bill because it came up last year and was actually narrowly defeated, which is not something that we normally see. Normally, when something comes to a vote, it usually passes. But the school voucher bill, if passed, would have pretty profound impacts across Georgia on our public school system. So happy to go into that if anybody would like to know more about that. One other topic of discussion that we will almost definitely see this year is elections. There has been a lot of discussion from House leadership in particular about changing the QR code on ballots and basically just policy changes in response to people who are still saying the election was stolen or that there are security concerns. So I expect we're going to see a lot of tightening of voting in response to that. And Let's be honest, because it's an election year. So over the next 40 days, I will try to come to these meetings as often as I can just to keep you all updated. I also have a newsletter that we're issuing weekly during the legislative session. So I will drop that in the chat for anybody that really wants the nitty-gritty details. But yeah, are there any questions either about the session or about the General Assembly in general?
I put it in the chat, but was hoping you could share more on like sort of your views on the voucher bill and like how y'all are thinking it'll impact APS.
Sure. Yes. So I voted against the voucher bill last year. The majority of Democrats voted against the voucher bill last year. The idea behind the voucher, or at least proponents of the voucher, say it's for folks who are in the lower quarter of their school systems. If you're in lower quarter, you can receive a $6,500 credit from the state government and use that to go to the private school of your choice. But when you look at that on the whole, it might sound good for one family, but when you look at it on the whole, what it means is a substantial takeaway of money from public school funds. And I think it's really important to put that in context because public schools in Georgia are already severely underfunded. We have not updated, and Ken can talk about this, right? We have not updated our school formula for per pupil allocation since 1984. So what Republicans are saying is that, you know, our public school system is failing and we need to give people money to go in other directions. But the truth of it is we haven't properly given our public school system the resources it needs to succeed. You know, some other problems with the voucher bill is that just because you receive that voucher money doesn't mean that a private school is going to accept you, because a private school can discriminate. It can discriminate based on religion. It can discriminate based on race. It can discriminate based on disability. So there's a lot of problems with this bill that I don't think are being given. I don't think the proponents of the bill are being honest about what it will actually do. And the truth is we see what it actually does because other states have implemented this policy and now they're paying the price. So we have seen what happens when states implement this policy. But specifically as to APS, I mean, it would be a reduction in funds to APS.
Thanks, Syra. Thanks, Lily, for that question. Any other questions for Syra?
Right.
Okay. If you think of anything, add it in the chat. Thank you so much for joining, Syra.
No problem. It'll be a ruckus session, so I'll be back with more. But here is the letter link.
Thank you. And this is a good segue to the newly elected Ken Zeff from the Atlanta Board of Education. I know I saw you before, Ken. There you are.
Hey, Erin, thanks, and congratulations on your presidency. I have to say, I've been going to a lot of these meetings. This is an efficient meeting. I don't know, you guys don't get to see all these. Syra probably gets to see these. This one's humming, and I'm not gonna get in the way of progress here. First of all, thank you, Edgewood. Thank you. I'm your new board member. Thank you for voting for me and for acting like you voted for me. If I see you, I'm thrilled. I have 3 kids in the system right now. I used to be superintendent of Fulton County Schools, and I ran because I think APS can do better. So I'm hopeful that we're on our way. I just got sworn in last week. Sorry there was no school today. There will be school tomorrow. The districts across the metro area shut schools down, but we're back at it tomorrow. We have a superintendent search that's underway. The search window has closed. It closed on Friday, so if you're trying to get your application in, you are too late. But we've got a general look at the pool. It seems very strong. We'll be getting into it over the next couple of weeks, but hopefully by March, early April, we'll have nailed the candidate that can lead our system. As folks know, we have an interim superintendent, Dr. Danielle Battle, right now, who's steering the system. A few other quick things. Now, there's some surveys that I want to put in the chat. There's one about food nutrition. So if you have a strong point of view about the food that's in our schools, we'd love to hear from you. There's one about the pre-K. The pre-K lottery opens up in 10 days. So if you are interested in sending your child to state-funded preschool, there's a lottery system. I'll put that link in the chat. And school calendars. We're starting to set the calendars for the next 3 years. So if you have some points of view about that, we are looking to gather your information. I'll also put in my email. So if anything comes up, you can feel free to holler at me. And I'll just end with echoing Sarah's comment about the school voucher program. It is, if you get into the weeds of it, APS is against it, but even just from an accountability message. So kids are get $6,500 to leave the system, but think about who. There's a little bit of intellectual dishonesty, I feel, with this program. If you really believed in private schools, then you would fund the whole thing for kids. But $6,500, for those of you who think about private school, that doesn't get you very far. And so it's just basically, I feel like this is a giveaway to folks that are already going to private school and just trying to supplement their funding. So we're against it, but we'll see what happens in the legislature. So happy to chat. So I'll put a bunch of links in the chat, and I will cede the balance of my time back to Erin, unless there are any questions.
Thanks, Ken. Go ahead and raise your hand if you have a question, or add it in the chat. You know the drill by now. Okay. Cool. I should have said this at the start of the call for folks who are new to these meetings. We have a few kind of chunks to our meetings. We start with some high-level updates, as I did. We have an opportunity to talk face-to-face with our local government representatives. We're now moving into our community forum portion of our call, which invites different community projects or businesses or any member in attendance to share updates, and then we'll conclude with some one committee updates. So I like to have a schematic of the journey that I'm going to be on in a given meeting, so hope it's helpful for those of you who are new. So we're going to shift into the community forum part of our agenda. Will, if you're on the line, or someone from Living Walls, would love to hear from you about the Arizona Avenue mural. Will, Living Walls, anyone? Okay, we'll come back to you. Mindy and Elizabeth from Kroger. Really, everyone is just helping us stay on time, which is great.
I'm Chris with Kroger.
Hi, Chris.
Mindy and Elizabeth will be joining shortly.
Okay, should we wait on them, or are you sharing an update?
They will be on in just 1 second. Let me get a hold of them.
Thank you. And while we're waiting, if anyone else on the call has announcements, other businesses, invite you to share.
Hi, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Mahoney with Start and Left. I'm here for the Kroger application. Thank y'all for the opportunity for us to attend this evening. We just wanted to give you an update about the application. It's a City of Atlanta alcohol license change of agent application, and we're designating Mr. Chris Hewell, who was just speaking with y'all, as the new agent on the alcohol license. We're attending NPUO next week, so we just wanted to attend this evening as well to give y'all the opportunity to ask any questions if y'all have them.
Do you mind sharing more about what this is?
Yeah, definitely. So in the City of Atlanta, an alcohol license has to have an individual basically attached to it, and that's the agent on the alcohol license. And the individual who served as agent for Kroger previously no longer qualifies to serve in that role. He's taken a different role, and so no longer qualifies. And so we're just designating Mr. Hewell to serve in that role.
Great, thanks, Elizabeth. Is there anyone from the zoning committee who wants to offer anything additional here? Okay. Elizabeth, refresh our memory. Is there a vote happening at the NPUO meeting?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Jeannie, if you're on the line, if you want to share anything about that and provide a link to how people can attend the meeting and participate in the vote.
I think Joe is on. Joe, are you there as the new chair? Yeah, hi. Yeah, I am. Hi, this is Joe Silbner. I am the new chair of MPUO. The meeting is on January 26th, I believe. Let me just double check that calendar here. No, it's January 23rd. January 23rd at 6:30. If you go to the MPU website, the link's out there, but I can put the link in the chat to register for the meeting if you want to be on the meeting.
Thanks, Joe.
Yeah.
The Edgewood is not voting tonight. The vote is happening at the NPU level. Thank you, Claudia, for that question. This is just an announcement. Okay. Will or Living Walls, any chance you might be on? Okay. Any other members or businesses want to share something? Announcements.
Thank y'all for letting us attend tonight. We'll see y'all at the NPO meeting.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thanks, Chris. Go ahead, Erin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erin Weller-Dalton. I'm with Moving in the Spirit for the new members. In tonight's meeting, we are a creative youth development nonprofit, and we work with children and teens using the art of dance to build creativity and emotional skills, social skills, and leadership skills for young people in our community. But we've heard a lot from the community about wanting adult classes. So we've been doing 6-week community class series where neighbors and community members of all ages, whether you're 3 or 93, as we like to say, can come and dance together. So our dance fitness series is starting on Tuesdays. We did this series last winter, and we had I think our youngest member in the class was 2 years old with their grandma. So it really is a fun intergenerational way to just be together and meet new neighbors. I see some familiar names on the Zoom meeting that I've seen in class as well. So it's a really fun way to connect and have some family time and get your spirits up after the holidays in the winter drag. So welcome. It's Tuesdays at 6:30, and I'll put the website in the chat.
Thanks, Erin. Any questions for Erin? There's a treasure trove of resources and links and information and good vibes in the chat and great emojis. So I encourage you, if you're not following the chat, to follow along. Topher, go ahead. We can't hear you, Topher. Sorry.
How about now?
All good.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I'm Topher Finley, 5-year resident of Edgewood, and I'm a former member of the MPO board covering Edgewood, and just had a quick update on our Edgewood signage project. Some of you on the chat were asking about the Edgewood sign that you saw over on Hosea, and I have a quick update on that. Erin, would it be okay if I shared my screen?
Yes. Are you able? There you go.
Perfect. So in 2023, MPUO secured funds from the City of Atlanta to replicate the large Edgewood sign at Arkwright in Moreland, right in front of the Montessori in-town school. And we secured funds as MPUO for additional funding to do another sign at another entry point in the neighborhood. After discussions with the One Placemaking Committee, multiple site visits, and we took a vote in the August in 2023 at 1, resulted in the selection of Hosea Avenue. Hosea is one of, as many of you know, kind of one of our main arteries with lots of car and pedestrian and cycling traffic. And prior to this project, there were no markings or signage at either its eastern or its western entry points. So with your all's input, we selected the intersection of Woodbine and Hosea. This is the eastern entry point into Edgewood, opposite Cone Park. This is also, for many of you cyclists know, this is the new junction with the new trolley line trail with lots of high visibility. We worked with a company, IMG Signs, who helped to assess the site. And actually, we found with the design in that particular location, we were able to, we tweaked the sign, made it smaller so that we didn't overwhelm the landscape. And this was our install, and we were able to deliver that sign in December of 2023. So as a quick update, because we pared that sign down, we were able to actually have a savings and created the opportunity for a second sign. So that sign's been produced, and we are working on the second location at the intersection of Screven and Hosea. This is a major western entry point into Edgewood on Hosea that's just opposite Moreland. Again, another big entry point into the residential side of the neighborhood, and also kind of nicely bookends the Toy Line Trail Junction. So in terms of next steps, we're getting permitting for the sign this month and into next month, with the goal to get that last sign installed in March. Thanks so much for the extra time, and happy to take any questions. Thanks, Erin. Back to you.
Thanks, Topher. I take banjo lessons at Guitar Shed and giggle every time I see the Edgewood sign under the Kirkwood Yard sign. So well done, you. It looks great. Any questions for Topher? Cool.
Topher, I have a question for you. I do metal fabrication, and I tell you, if you want to make a sign that's going to stay there and last, make it out of metal, and I would be happy to donate my time, my expertise, and all of the stuff I have available. If you want to make a sign, get in touch with me.
Thank you, Bob. And I saw in that chat a lot of interest in having smaller scale signs, things to further market Edgewood. So I think there's a lot of interest in that. So thank you. And we'll see you around the neighborhood. Thanks again, Erin.
I might be a little biased, but I think our signs, our logo is maybe the best neighborhood logo in Atlanta. But you know, not the most objective opinion. Okay, if anyone has any other announcements, add them to the chat. We're going to keep plugging. 8 o'clock is coming up. We're moving on to the one committee updates. I'll invite our newest committee, the Edgewood Safety Committee, Will, Karen, and Carly, to share an update for us.
Hi, this is Karen. I've agreed to speak on all of our behalf, even though we kind of have agreed on what we'll speak about. This is currently, I am not the leader of this committee. We haven't actually decided on a leader yet. So if you love leadership and you love community safety, please be in contact. We met, just those of us who had kind of been active in some way in community safety over the last few months, gathered to just discuss what this committee might look like, talked a little about some things that have happened over the last few months to years, shared a lot of the institutional knowledge that has sort of built up in folks over the years, and came up with some things that I'll share with you. First, we tried to talk a little about what public safety really means, what community safety means. It can mean anything, a lot of things that probably are not really handled by this committee, like safe sidewalks, not having a lot of cracks in the sidewalks that people fall off of. But I think we agreed that it tends to be things more like gunfire, and other things that sort of affect personal and community safety. But this definition is still kind of open for discussion. We also have a lot of speeding cars in the neighborhood. Does that count as public safety? We're not really sure yet, but in any case, we're interested in all kinds of things that keep people safe. We talked about a couple of recent successes, which really involve just kind of talking to more of our neighbors about what safety would look like for them, where the opportunities to do better are, and who really is accountable for community safety. A group of us met last year after some gunfire issues that we've had in parts of the neighborhood with folks at Columbia to talk about how we might partner to improve on our current situation. And just having that conversation felt like a step in the right direction. And so I think that's, one of the things that we'd really like to see more of. I'll get to that in a second. And yeah, actually, Steph mentions tornadoes, and it's not a joke. I think sort of being prepared for emergencies is a pillar of safety, and is something that we all sort of felt was something that we could work toward as a community safety committee. So among the sort of priorities that we have, one is to be data driven and not just operate based on vibes, and that data can look a lot of different ways, but we do want to be acting based on facts and not just on fear. So that is something that we agreed was important to all of us. We want to engage broad voices. We don't want to have this be a committee that or a group that doesn't use all the strengths that already exist in our committee, and I'm sorry, in our community. And that means engaging a lot of different people from all around our community. And that is a goal for us. We'd like to be prevention focused, meaning we'd like to be proactive about preventing tensions and reducing the opportunities where people's actions can reduce other people's safety, and less reactive. And really focused on our neighbors, neighbors looking out for each other. Carly put that in the chat, and that is really what we'd like this to feel and look like. And that means being inclusive in our representation and in our responsiveness. And we'd like to think outside the box. A lot of people envision community safety as really just one thing. And we'd really like to use our creativity and our resources and our great community strengths, including, just some of the knowledge that people have of what this used to be like and what has improved things in the past and what has worked. So that's the kind of approach we'd like to take going forward. So we need to start assembling a committee and meeting and deciding on a leadership structure. I see a really cute cat there, Chris. That's wildly distracting, but I really appreciate it. Bring it on anytime. So assembling a community, starting to meet on a regular basis, determining our leadership structure, and starting more conversations all around the neighborhood, both with the institutions that are here and the people that are here. So Columbia Housing has been a great partner on a variety of other initiatives in the past, and they'll probably be a good partner going forward. And the residents in those communities, we hope, will also be partners. We are all neighbors, and that's increasing attendance at these meetings is these community meetings is one of the goals. And I guess I'm just repeating myself here. So
thanks, Karen.
Sorry, are we done? Am I done with my list here? I'm kind of looking.
The one thing to add is our next meeting is February 4th, Sunday, February 4th at 2.
Oh, I didn't.
Carly, would you put that in the chat as well as your email address?
Yes.
Noting that there is not a committee chair yet, but Carly is the POC for the next meeting. And echoing the need for folks to join that meeting or join this committee who are interested. It's no small feat to start a committee from scratch. So really appreciate those of you who have stepped up and are thinking about this holistically and thoughtfully. Harry, I see. Oh, Harry's my neighbor across the street. Hey, Harry, go ahead.
I actually I got on tonight, and I'm sorry I haven't been here in a long time. Folks, most of you don't probably recognize me. My wife and I live across the street from Erin. We're here in Flora. And what we've just been hearing about safety, I think is relevant to the concern I wanted to bring up. It's not really a new problem we have, and I don't know how many people notice, but we have a vermin problem in Edgewood, rats, that is. And just recently, my wife's brand new car got eaten by rats, and it cost $500 to fix. And about 2 or 3 years ago, the same thing, then it was $1,000. But rats and vermin, like squirrels and so forth, like to eat soy-based wiring in cars. What happens in a neighborhood like ours is that we have a lot of gentrification going on, and you have old properties being torn down, ones that probably harbor lots of rats. They scatter everywhere when those buildings come down. And in fact, there's one that's supposed to be coming down from our house just a few houses down, which I'm sure has lots of rats crawling around in its foundation. I've heard from one seemingly knowing person that builders are supposed to exterminate thoroughly before tearing down such properties, but my feeling is that probably oftentimes gets overlooked. And I wondered if somebody in a position of authority, leadership, perhaps the new leader of this group we just heard about, could maybe reach out to these construction people, these developers, and make sure they're doing what they're supposed to do to get the rats gone before they scatter all over the place.
Thanks, Harry. As a landlord to many squirrels in the neighborhood, I feel that. And I'll take that note to the board and the Edgewood Safety Committee as well, and we can think about, you know, under whose jurisdiction that sits and go from there. Super important point, and it looks like folks have some ideas in the chat. We've got about 9 minutes left, so I'll just ask the next committee chairs if you don't mind keeping it to around 2 to 3 minutes, if you can. Colin, are you on from the Transportation Committee?
I am here. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. I will try to keep this brief. I think Lily is nice enough to type up my half-hearted notes every month, so you can go and check the monthly notes that we do for the Transportation Committee there. The one thing that Patrick failed to actually mention this time is that he actually showed us during our last Transportation Committee a way to report streetlight outages. I'm putting the link in the chat. And a couple members of the committee actually went out and got some streetlights fixed in like 24 hours. So Georgia Power is actually coming around and fixing these outages relatively quickly when you submit the ticket. Some other positive news, the Leslie and George Brumley four-way stop was legislated along with 88 curb cuts at the intersection. Our next meeting is going to be January 31st at 7 p.m. via Zoom. We normally meet on the second Wednesday of each month, but because of the holidays and some personal commitments, we're changing it up for this upcoming year. And unfortunately, some bad news or poor news. It seems like over the holidays, every single pedestrian signal in our neighborhood decided to take a break. I don't know if anyone's tried to cross at Moreland at Arkwright. Those are no longer working. The pedestrian signals at DeKalb and Oakdale are also not working right now. This has been a priority for our committee for the upcoming or for this next meeting. Let's see. I also have a DeKalb and Moreland intersection from Patrick. Unfortunately, I think I had seen a Facebook post about people complaining about the kind of backed up traffic as you are headed towards downtown in the morning, so westbound traffic. Unfortunately, that current traffic signal is not going to change anytime soon, or they are still trying to figure that out as the construction continues to build in the bike lane there at the Moreland DeKalb intersection. So that is not going to change anytime soon. Does anyone have any questions? I'm trying to keep this short.
Thanks, Colin. We'll take one question for Colin and any other questions in the chat. Cool.
All right, no problem.
Zoning committee has no more updates. We were communicating via email. I think Lily, we're gonna jump around just a little bit. I'll pass it to you to talk about the open committee positions. If there's time, Chris, if there's anything else you want to say about fundraising, but I think you covered that at the top. So Lily, the floor is yours.
Yeah, this is just my not so subtle plug. I'm looking at my list right now. For everyone who said they're interested in participating in the neighborhood, we have a lot of open positions. So I'm looking at my list right now, but we've got space. We're really looking for someone in the education committee who has children in APS to join there and co-chair. DEI committee, green spaces with Jim, Kolstad, placemaking. We're looking for help on fundraising. Really, if you have a hobby or skill that you want to share with the neighborhood, we've probably got a position for it open, but I'd say the priorities are the committees I just mentioned. So we've dropped it a couple times, but I'll put the email in the chat. And if y'all are interested, even if you didn't hear something we just listed and you want to get involved, let us know and we'll make sure to reach out.
I'm curious by show of hands or emoji, who has a kid in an APS school.
Everyone's afraid because they think that means they're volunteering to co-chair the education committee. So even if they do,
I'm
they're
trying to
not
get a
gonna
pulse
say it,
check.
Erin.
Also curious by show of hands or emoji, who may be a marketing person or a good communicator. I know we have some journalists on the call. Many hands make light work, y'all. We're all volunteers, so really invite you to be part of the Cool Kids Club. We've got a great group of folks who are serving the community in various ways. Would love to have you. In the remaining 3 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, and then I can wrap up in the last minute. Remaining 2 minutes, anything else folks want to share?
I know Dominique, if you're on the line, wanted to share from Tumor.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me?
We can, thanks.
Okay, I'm gonna be very quick. Hi, everybody. I'm Dominique James. I'm the liaison between us and at Tumor Elementary. I do have a child at Tumor. But really just 2 really quick updates. We have some upcoming prospective parents Q&As coming up. So right now Tumor is undergoing a renovation. So we can't do the tours that we normally do every year. So this year we're going to be doing Q&A at Cohen, where the kids are currently housed, for prospective parents to come in and ask any questions they have about the school, the renovation, what's going on, all of that jazz. Any information they want to know from from current parents at the school and the staff. So we'll be having 4 separate meetings for that. Lily, I think I sent you the flyer. If you guys can just send that out through the Hoot, so everybody can get those dates and the little barcode to register if you're interested in coming to one of those. And then last update is we do have a running Amazon list of items that are needed for the school, for the staff, for the kids, just for the school in general. So if anybody is willing to help donate a few items off of that Amazon list, that is still available for you all to scan the barcode and choose anything you'd be willing to donate to the school, and it would get delivered directly to them. So I sent the flyers to Lily, or whoever sends out the Hoot, if you guys can send both of those out, that would be great, so everyone can have the links. I can try to put them in the chat too, but that's it.
Amazing. Thanks, Dominique. Everyone, that's all we got. Our next meeting is on Tuesday, February 20th at 7 p.m. Right now, it's going to be on Zoom. If anything changes about being in person, we'll let you know, but count on joining virtually for now. We appreciate you. We'll send a recap in our newsletter, including some of the links that were shared today. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week and stay warm and safe.